real answers and customized marketing solutions. Serving the entire tri-state area, check RLC.com for the complete listings. And I'm Source Gene Wells, Chief Meteorologist, Tax Report.
Radio 92.7.
Listen to that. That's the sound of power and the call of the open road. That's the sound of the newly designed 2019 Indian Chieftain Limited. Yeah, Indian. It's more than a bike. It's an experience and an American icon. The place to find it, Indian Motorcycle of Chattanooga, along with their entire new 2019 line. The open road is calling. Answer the call. Go to Indian Motorcycle of Chattanooga. Just look for the sign on 153 and Nicola. Indian Motorcycle, the true American original.
Join We've Got You Covered with Scott Schrader every Saturday from 10 to 11 on Nooga Radio. From finance to fixtures, we discuss everything you need to know about buying or owning a home, the pitfalls, the perks, and everything in between. Saturday mornings from 10 to 11, right here on Nooga Radio.
For your small business, ending the year the right way can set you up for success come January. No need to let end-of-year panic set in. Easy Books and Taxes can help set up your books or new payroll service so that you can relax and enjoy the holiday season. With 35 years, bookkeeping, individual, and business tax preparation, it's easy. With Easy Books and Taxes, you run the business, we keep the books. Call us today at 423-755-0821.
92.7 Nooga Radio.
Girl, Marie Mott with the Marie Mott Show. Y'all know what it is. I'm taking it from the streets to City Hall, from City Hall to the mayor's office. Can't leave out the fire department. From the valley low to the mountaintop, give you guys a bird's eye view. Good morning, everyone. Oh man, I am so grateful to be back. Another beautiful morning here in the city of Chattanooga. It's a little cloudy outside, but it's going to be interesting today. The high is 70 of what I've seen. So we're bouncing in between cold and warm weather, the strangeness of being in Chattanooga. But good morning to everyone tuning in. I see you, see Grammy. Good morning. Cuz I see you all the way up. Oh man, tuning in all the way from Gary, Indiana. Good morning. Oh man, so today is an important show because I'm talking about kids on drugs. We've had several different schools here in the city of Chattanooga where children have been taking illicit drugs. And I'm seeing that as a problem because if it's a situation where children are taking drugs in school, and it's not just happening in the inner city. If it happens in a place like Central, we have a problem. We have a problem. This is not 1967 where the only drug you got is marijuana. This is 2018 where a lot of the illicit drugs that are out there are extremely addictive. People are overdosing and dying. Things like heroin, fentanyl, methamphetamines. All of these, of which we've even had doctors here in the city of Chattanooga, some very professional people who have died at the hands of illicit drugs like this. We got a problem, Houston. There is a problem. We got to have a conversation. But before we get into that, y'all know what it is. Marie Mott with the Marie Mott Show, 800-8949 if you want to call and chop it up with me and talk about today's topic. If you can't call in, don't hesitate to drop a comment and interact with me. I'm streaming on YouTube, Nooga Radio 92.7 FM's Facebook page, as well as my own. If you are not subscribed on YouTube, subscribe so you can get a notification. Click on the bell so you can get a notification of when we are coming on live. And as well, like the Facebook page so you won't miss out on what I'm talking about, right? Because everything I do, this is a conversation. Like if we were sitting down having lunch, I would be talking to you about this because I'm concerned about my city and everybody in it. We're family. We're neighbors. We better start talking about some of this stuff. But I want to start it off on a positive note because if you don't read the Times Free Press, or maybe if you don't look at the news, the very first thing I covered on my show when I had the opportunity to start my radio broadcasting career with Nooga Radio 92.7 was Angela Moore's case. This innocent man who was tortured and coerced into a confession. And y'all better believe that there are a lot of eyes and ears and people plotting my demise because of how much pressure I've put on the Chattanooga Police Department about what they're doing to citizens. And when it becomes a situation that the person that is responsible for torturing my brother, Angela Moore, into a confession, keeping him in the police station for 13 hours, holding him, beating on him until he admitted to a crime that he did not commit. And this same person, you look back and they have a history that they have beaten on 3 other African-American men and never lost their job. But as a matter of fact, to spit in the people's face, this man named Officer Michael Wanger got a promotion. He received a promotion because, unfortunately, the city of Chattanooga is a city that has been steeped in racial disparity and racial tensions for a very, very long time. We're just now, recently, in the last couple of years, with projects like the Ed Johnson Project, really acknowledging our racial past in just a small way. Just a small way. It's taken the last several years for us to even be able to open up in a public way about people like Ed Johnson, who was lynched on the Walnut Street Bridge. This is our history. Unfortunately, it's a bloody history. It's a dirty history. We didn't get a city council to just about the 90s. We didn't have Black representation in this city to almost when I was born. And I'm just 30. Oh, man. I'm happy for Angela because Officer Michael Wanger, who tortured him into a confession, would state in his 2010 case that he could place Mr. Moore at the scene with cell phone records. And Mr. Moore, who did not have the means at the time to have proper representation, was provided representation by Judge Poole. And it was trash representation because the lawyer at the time did not even look at the cell phone records, which proved that Angela was not at the place where a man was murdered. He was all the way on the other side of town. And this information was brought up in the post-conviction hearing. And of course, because at the time we did not have an expert witness to give testimony to the readings and the findings of the cell phone records, Judge Poole denied post-conviction relief. But I'm so glad that he has an attorney, and unfortunately his attorney is not from Chattanooga. We had to go outside of the city to find somebody willing to fight this system here, that he decided to reach out to someone that is qualified to testify, an expert witness for the phone records. And so as it is right now, the judge has reopened the post-conviction case after we were able to solidify an expert witness in the form of someone who could explain the cell phone records. And so we are well on our way, and I'm happy about it. We are well on our way to getting an innocent man back home to his family. And so, Angela, I don't know, somebody maybe who works in a prison with you, maybe tuning in, maybe listening, you tell my brother to hold on, because we're coming to set you free. And I promise that the people outside, Concerned Citizens for Justice, myself, we will not give up on you. We have not given up on you. And we won't give up on others like you who have been crushed by this injustice system that often coerces people cunningly out of their rights. And that's why I talk about rights. So this is good, because that means that we are one step closer to getting an innocent man freed from jail. Come on. And so stay tuned, because we're getting ready to go into the holiday months. We're going to be writing him letters. We're going to be doing fundraising to compensate this individual, this expert witness, when it's time for him to come to the city of Chattanooga, that we will be able to pay for their travel. So stay tuned. You got to tune in so you won't miss it. On an opportunity for you to step up in a tangible way, if it's possible, to ensure that someone that is innocent will make it home. Because you never know. I might be that same individual that gets to fight for your loved one if the time comes. And I want to do just that. Let's talk about it. Kids on drugs and the mounting peer pressure that I continue to see in school systems. And obviously, I remember the first instance that we had at Brainerd High School. And there were parents that were outraged at what was going on. But the crazy thing is that they were more outraged about the school. And somehow I wonder how a child that lives with you is able to take drugs into school if they live with you. And I'm going to have a tough conversation. And I hope, well, if people get mad, that's okay. I've learned to accept that some people don't like the truth, and that's fine. But the first thing is, and we touched on it a little bit a couple of weeks ago when this initially happened, but for this to pop up in several other schools, such as Central High School, okay, which is not in the inner city, we have a problem. And the children aren't the problem because children do not raise themselves. Children don't raise themselves. Now, parents can leave children at home by themselves, but they don't raise themselves. Somebody is responsible for the children. And more than just being responsible for being involved in your children's life, you're responsible for having serious conversations with them about life. Peer pressure is something that really never goes away because everybody wants to be part of a group. We don't really live in a society where the majority of people are comfortable in their own skin. You know, I've come to the conclusion, and it's taken a long time to get here. I'll be very, very transparent. I'm extremely shy. You wouldn't believe me if I told you. I'm shy. I get nervous when I talk to people who I've never met before. I suck at small talk. I really despise small talk, but it's a necessary skill, right? I've gotten to the point at 30 where if I tell my truth, then my tribe will find me, and I'll find my tribe. But that's being a process. When you're a kid, you want to fit in. You want people to like you. You want to be accepted. What human being does not want to be validated? And let's have a real discussion. The validation should come from the parents. If your children don't feel validated, that they are a success in your eyes, that they're not perfect, but they're a success, that they have so much potential, that they could be anything they want. If children do not feel that loving connection, that support, that consistency, they're going to seek that validation in the streets. I'm telling you, everybody wants to be validated, loved, and wants that consistency of attention and affection from someone. And if they're not going to find that at home, and I'm not saying that there aren't kids who don't stray. That's not the same thing. But if we have this issue that has happened in about 3 schools, we're not talking about a phenomena. We're not talking about a happenstance. What we're talking about is a culture. First of all, a drug culture within our children, of course, which is perpetuated by television and music. Let's be real. Right? And so parenting, and I'm not going to talk about parenting. I'm just going to talk about some basic things, right? Because everybody's parenting style is different. And I'm not a parent. I don't understand. But I do understand what it's like to be a child and to understand that even regardless of how your parenting style or what your parenting style is, there has to be an involvement of you in your child's life. And that has to happen overall. 800-8949 if you want to call and talk to me. But the first thing is that my parents didn't believe in privacy because I didn't pay bills. Even when I paid bills, or even when I was working, when I got older and I was still at home, there was this expectation, this unspoken rule that I was still expected to respect my parents' household. And so because of how I was raised, there was this expectation of these unspoken rules, that things that my parents didn't have to tell me. My parents didn't have to tell me that people couldn't come in the house and smoke and different things like that, because they went through my stuff so often. If I did bring something, I would be terrified to bring something like that home. I knew I couldn't hide it from them. How many parents are going through your child's backpacks, seeing what your child is listening to, what they're writing about, what letters they have going through the... Oh, man. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Talk to me.
Marie, can I read to you exactly what the Supreme Court said in Miranda versus Arizona regarding internal investigations and interrogations? Do you have a minute for that?
I do. I can't hear you.
Okay, because it's important not to read what someone tells you what the decision says, but actually reading the opinion. And this goes to the heart of the case you just talked about. And I'm quoting this verbatim from the Supreme Court of Arizona. As for the procedural safeguards to be employed, unless other fully effective means are derived in uniform accused person of their right of silence and to assure a continuous opportunity to exercise it, the following measures are required. Prior to any questioning, the person must be warned that he has a right to remain silent, that any statement he does make may be used against him in a court of law, has a right to the presence of an attorney, either retained or appointed. The defendant may waive the effectuation of these rights provided the waiver is made voluntarily, knowingly, and intelligently. If, however, he indicates in any manner, at any stage of the process, that he wishes to consult with an attorney before speaking, there can be no questioning. Likewise, if the individual is alone and indicates in any manner that he does not wish to be interrogated, the police may not question him. The mere fact that he may have answered some questions or volunteered some statements in his own defense do not deprive him of the right to refrain from answering any further inquiries until he is consulted with an attorney and after another consent to be questioned. It goes on to say, an understanding of the nature and settling of this in-custody interrogation is the essential to our decision today. This is real important. The difficulty in depicting what transpires as such interrogations stem from the fact that in this country, they have largely taken place incommunicado. That means the guy has no communications with anyone. You're stuck with a cop and you in a little room that says, hey, we'll go easy on you if you just tell me the truth. I made that up. And okay, here's what the Supreme Court says. From extensive factual studies undertaken in the early 1930s, including famous Wickerson report to Congress by a presidential commission, it is clear that police violence and the third degree flourished at that time. So what the Supreme Court said in the 60s in Miranda is they realized in that time in Chicago, the cops were beating the hell out of people, denying them water, denying them food, turning a light on them for hours at a time, harassing them until they obtained a confession. And the court said, if you're going to do this, we're throwing that confession out, and this murderer that just pled guilty, we're overturning that conviction. That's how ticked off the Supreme Court was. They were getting many of these cases in the 60s where confessions were beaten out of people. And let me tell you, when they talk about custodial interrogation, the second your freedom of movement is stopped and you can't leave, that is an investigation. That is an arrest. Can I leave? No.
Yes, sir.
I guarantee you, I bet you the police did not even read this man his rights.
They didn't. They did not read him his rights, and they signed the waiver of his rights for him.
Okay, well, this is a no-brainer. You see, and this is where it comes down to the judicial. This is why the judicial branch is so important. The first court you go to see, Marie, is more important than the Supreme Court. That court can let you go or make you rot in jail. And that's where An honest judiciary is necessary, and that's when a judge like Judge Queer in Tampa allowed Karen Quinlan to die. That's where the people need to go out and protest in mass in front of his house and say, stop the corruption, because this is clear. When you read Supreme Court decisions, they're written for sixth graders. There's no ambiguity. That judge should at that point said, this case is dismissed. If you want to retry it, it's up to you. But that confession will not be allowed in evidence.
Absolutely.
And here's the problem, Marie. The problem in America, I'm going to sum it up. Corrupt judiciary from the local, state, and federal. Corrupt judiciary. They're so corrupt, if they were a floor, you'd be crashing through it. That's how rotten they are. Thanks.
No problem. Thank you, Mike Steele. That was Mike Steele commenting on the Angele, which is what I opened up the show with. Angele, who will have another post-conviction hearing based on the expert testimony of his cell phone records, which proved that he was not at the scene. Today, we're talking about our youth, our young people are on drugs. Did you know? Let's look at some facts, right? Young people between the ages of 12 through 20, 11% of them all have consumed alcohol. Did we know that 68% of 12th graders have tried alcohol at least once? 37.4% of 12th graders drank just within the last month. 23.5% of 10th graders drank within the last month. Oh, man, let's keep looking at it. 21% of them binge drank. 22% of them rode with somebody in a car and they were drinking. 10% of them drinking. We're going to keep looking at it because there's a problem. And we better start talking to our young people. I'm terrified. You can get hip on meth the first time you do it. You can get hooked on fentanyl or heroin the first time you try it. You could overdose. And there goes your baby. We better start talking about it. Stay tuned for the second half of the session.
3, 2, 1.
Chattanooga Radio. Digital FM 95.3 HD4. 92.7 FM's news now.
Traffic investigators say Stephen McGuire from Sale Creek was attempting to cross Georgia 146 when he was hit by a Hyundai Elantra and thrown 60 feet from the impact point. He was pronounced dead at the scene. This happened near Cloud Springs Road and Dietz Road. The man was captured by the police after a murder and a car crash. Cops say Paul Strickland was the backseat passenger in a car. Police believe he shot and killed a man sitting in front of him. Then when the car crashed, he escaped into the woods, where he was later captured. He was charged with criminal homicide. The controversial Man Gap Road sewage plant will be voted on at the Planning Commission on November the 12th at 1 p.m. If it passes there, it'll go to the County Commission Zoning Committee, then to the full commission in December. This comes despite the protests of homeowners in Ottawa who don't want a sewage treatment plant right next to their neighborhood. The Sean Hannity Show weekdays from 3 to 6. Russell Stroud, Chattanooga Radio News Talk 92.7 Action News now.
Sean Hannity, weekday afternoons from 3 to 6 p.m. on Nooga Radio 92.7 FM.
Nooga Radio 92.7.
Cash, 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 and more cash. Get 8.1% return on your money. Rick Davis can turn your cash into real money. Gold and silver bullion. American Eagle Gold. The banks give you a measly 1.9%. At Rick Davis Gold and Diamonds, you'll get 8.1% return on your money. 8.1% return on your money. Wow! Whether you're buying an ounce or 100 ounces, Rick guarantees it in writing. 8.1% Rick Davis Gold and Diamonds. Brainerd Road, Chattanooga.
Even if you like your job, there are some things that can drive you nuts. Like the anonymous coward who steals your lunch from the break room fridge. Or maybe Tyler, the IT guy, who gives you that condescending look when you tell him that your computer is acting up again, as if somehow it's your fault. You put up with these clowns every single day. But what happens when you've had enough? That's the day you decide to retire. At least that's the hope, right? But will you be able to retire? Can you afford to retire? That's why you need to talk to Ron and Christy Adams at One Family Financial. They can't do anything about Cody, that moron who heats up fish in the microwave, but they can strategize with you on how to get the most out of your 401k or pension, how to grow your money without losing your shirt in the market, and how to help make your money last in retirement. Talk to Ron and Christy today about whether you'll be ready to retire when you finally had it with seeing Ethan walk out of the bathroom again without washing his hands. Gross. Call Ron and Christy Adams at One Family Financial, 423-710-2009, 423-710-2009.
I'm Bo Watson, and I approve this ad.
This is Hamilton County Mayor Jim Coppinger. Here in Hamilton County, we have been working hard to build a stronger, more vibrant area. Bo Watson has been an integral part of that growth. Bo Watson has been listening to our needs, working to make it happen. Bo Watson is committed to bringing jobs, education, and safety to the forefront of Hamilton County. Bo knows he has a plan, and it's a priority he takes seriously. Vote for Bo Watson for Tennessee's future.
Paid for by friends of Bo Watson, Boy W. Watson III, Treasurer, VoteForTennessee.com.
Your home is a constant work in progress. Repaint the walls? Yeah, easy enough. Leaky faucet? There's a video for that. But roof repair? You might want some help. That's where Chattanooga Roofing Contractors come in. They have 3 generations of roofing excellence you can count on. Leave the ladder in the garage. Go to chatroofing.com. That's chatroofing.com for Chattanooga Roofing Contractors, a roofing company you can trust. Man, you sure you know what you're doing?
Yeah, I worked with my dad on his truck all the time. Just one more bolt to go.
Yeah, wrong bolt. Today's truck ain't your daddy's truck. For repairs on today's vehicles, you need Amco Transmission and Total Car Care of Chattanooga on Lee Highway. Stay on the road, not in the garage. Amco Transmission on Lee Highway. Get it done the right way. The Thompson Pet way. Yeah, I just put that anywhere.
Join We've Got You Covered with Scott Schrader every Saturday from 10 to 11 on Nuga Radio. From finance to fixtures, we discuss everything you need to know about buying or owning a home, the pitfalls, the perks, and everything in between. Saturday mornings from 10 to 11, right here on Nuga Radio.
Looking good for your afternoon with lots of sunshine out there. Highs into the upper 60s to near 70. Tonight, clear, chilly again, lows 40 to 43. For Wednesday, looking great. Lots of sun, highs 65 to 67. Increasing clouds, cooler Thursday. Could see a late shower. Looking to buy or sell a home? Real Living Southern Realty provides real answers and customized marketing solutions. Serving the entire tri-state area. Check rlsouthernrealty.com for the complete listings. And I'm Source Gene 12, Chief Meteorologist, Patch Report.
Nuga Radio 92.7.
What's going on? Beautiful people here in the city of Chattanooga. Girl Marie Mott with the Marie Mott Show, and we are talking about it today. Kids on drugs. Do we know how bad it is? Because we've been watching the news here in the city of Chattanooga. We've seen inner city schools. We've seen schools outside of the inner city where we have had more than one student, but students at individual schools that have turned up and have had to find themselves at the hospital because they are taking drugs in school. Now, I honestly will say there is some pressure that has to be applied to the school. Because I'm trying to figure out, I don't have any children to follow up with as of yet. I'm trying to figure out, where are these kids taking these drugs? Are they taking them at lunch? Are they meeting in the bathroom? Are these groups? Are they, is this information that we're following up on? Are the parents of these students, did you go through their text messages? Do you know that you can call your carrier, that you can get your cell phone records for your children if they're on your cell phone plan? Yes, your text messages, you can see all of those. Some of you out there need to do this. Now, I know you. These are new times, and we want to let our children, be free. I'm being sarcastic, but children just don't know enough. I'm telling you, the light bulb doesn't really come on to you're almost 30. You make so many mistakes, whether you're told and sometimes whether you're not. You make so many mistakes. I promise you, the light bulb for my life really came on around this time. And I look back over my life and I just see how far the good Lord has brought me. How far, how patient my parents and people in my family have been with me. I was a troublemaker. Always getting into trouble, doing my own thing. And I look back and see that it's only grace and mercy that has kept me out of trouble, out of serious trouble. From stupid decisions and choices that I made. And in a lot of instances, I had that type of upbringing when my parents were very upfront about their expectations of me and that what they expected me to do. I mean, we should be having simple conversations. You should never take drugs from people. Ever. Your children shouldn't even be taking pain pills from another student. If they got a headache or a problem, they need to go see a school nurse. Or they need to pick up the phone and call you. They don't even need to be, and this is my opinion, but they don't even need to be taken, because how can you verify what it is? We live in an era where children now, I'm not saying that they weren't vindictive back then, but now they have new forms and ways of bullying people. And who's to say that as a way of bullying that some of your children who just want to fit in, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's nothing wrong with wanting to fit in. It's nothing wrong with wanting people to like you. But if you got to do things in order for people to like, this is where we have to have those real conversations with our children. If people don't like you for who you are, keep it pushing, baby. Keep it pushing. Because if you got to do things to earn people's love, you don't need it. Are we having conversations like that with our young people? That they are fine just the way they are? 800-8949 if you want to call and talk to me about it. But I look at a lot of these children, children are brilliant. They're innocent. Somewhat. They're brilliant little human beings who need decent people to shape them and to mold them and to hold their hand until such a time where you can let their hand go and let them go out into what my grandmother would say is this cruel, cruel world. Let them go out and try to stand on their own 2 feet. But if we continue to see what's going on and we don't understand the alarming nature behind it, and I was saying it at the break, my father works with probation. He's a supervisor for Hamilton County probation program, and he has to drug test people on a regular basis. And for it to be a situation where we have people in the city of Chattanooga who are testing positive, thinking that they're taking Molly or thinking that they're taking another drug, and they're testing positive for methamphetamines. What if children think that they are just taking, maybe they think they're just taking a Xanax? They're not pharmacists. They have no clue what they're taking. No clue. They have no clue if what they're taking is cocaine. They have no clue. Let's continue to look at these stats. 35.1% of 12th graders have smoked pot in the last year. 21.3% of them have smoked pot in the last 30 days. 16.6% of 10th graders nationwide have smoked pot in the last 30 days. Let's continue to look. Popular drugs among 12th graders are amphetamines, Adderall, opioid painkillers, tranquilizers, cough medicine, or what we call syrup, Vicodin, hallucinogens, Oxycontin, sedatives, ecstasy or MDMA, LSD, or what they call on the street is patty, cocaine, Ritalin, inhalants, and salvia. 2.5% of seniors nationwide are cocaine users. The average age of heroin addicts in treatment across this nation is 23 years old. But the majority of them will find themselves strung out on drugs as adolescents. Wow. We are looking at a problem that's not only happening here in the city of Chattanooga, but a problem, substance abuse problem that is happening nationwide. And again, when we look at this new way of going to school, in a lot of ways because of social media, who doesn't want to be, if nothing else besides being loved and accepted, who just doesn't want to be popular? Come on. This is what, let's not act like the whole school hierarchy is not built on this. Right? That the athletes don't get treated better than the regular students. That the ones that can do no wrong are the ones who do great at their schoolwork. And that everybody else kind of can just get in where they fit in. If you're not an athlete or you're not an intellect, there's not really a lot of space in the popularity hierarchy for you. I'm just being real. Right? So other ways of being accepted, of fitting in, of being popular may be for our children to get in groups. And shucks, I think we should talk about one thing that's probably just as important. And this, again, everything is my opinion, but I don't feel that I'm wrong. I think a lot of students are stressed. School is ridiculous right now. We got all these tests that the students have to take. The teachers are teaching to the test. We don't live in a system anymore where kids just go to school and learn. They have to learn to pass a test, because if they don't pass the test, then the school fails. If the school fails, then they got to hear from the school board, the superintendent. And it's just this whole vicious cycle of endless pressure to try for kids. Whatever just happened to the simple joy of being a child? It seems to me as if it's gone. Maybe a conversation besides just parents that parents need to have, besides with their children, is also with teachers and principals and school boards and superintendents. And we need to have discussions about the pressure, the endless pressure that is placed on children to perform, not to learn, but to perform. 800-8949 if you want to call in and talk to me. But let's look at that on the flip side. This is also something that I've seen perpetuated in families, where all the brothers or the uncles or the granddaddy and everybody was athletes. So now little Johnny, he has to be an athlete, but he really deep down inside, what he wants to do is play the clarinet. You can't do that because only feminine guys play the clarinet, which is ridiculous. Ridiculous. Some of the best clarinet players have been male. Ridiculous. Some of this is endless pressure. And some of these children, some of y'all parents who are listening, I'm not accusing anybody of anything, but some of y'all need to take the pressures off of your children and let them be children while they have a chance. Acknowledge what their interests are. There's nothing wrong with having plans and different things for your children. It's nothing, or perceptions or things that you want your children to do. That's absolutely fine. But at the end of the day, I hope nothing more than anything else, you want your child to be happy. And I think there's plenty of children out there, they're not happy. They're struggling emotionally. And drugs are an escape. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Talk to me.
Good morning, Marie. This is Hannah.
Hey.
I just wanted to call in and talk about the opioid crisis more and the mentality that kind of washes over our kids. Well, we've normalized taking opioids whenever you're in pain. And it's interesting that you bring up athletes and like family mentalities around being this wonderful athlete. Well, what happens when you get injured?
Mm-hmm. Talk about
you take opioids. It's a huge issue for our young athletes right now, and it's horrible that we've worked into our system this necessity almost for opioids, and we're not teaching our kids about opioid resistance and then the need for more and more. We're teaching our kids about other drugs, yeah, but we tend to ignore opioids because they are approved. They're an approved drug. And so our kids take it lightly, and it's nothing to joke about.
Absolutely.
It really, I'm super passionate about this. We have to start teaching our kids more that even the drugs that your doctor prescribes you are not necessarily good for you. They are a means to an end. They are not acceptable for daily use.
Absolutely. Hannah, thank you.
No problem, girl. Thanks for talking about this. This is important.
Yes, ma'am. Love you, and it's nothing that you can do about that.
All right.
See, I'm telling you, now Tennessee is not as bad as some other northern states, but we're well on our way. And with it being a situation where I don't think we really did our due diligence with methamphetamine, which is very, very typical, it has been for a while, typical in rural areas. When you see that methamphetamine is kind of making a comeback, or maybe it never really went away, in the inner city areas, when we see these problems that are happening here, there, and everywhere, we better be on high alert, because at the end of the day, these children are one day going to be adults. And the longer they do this stuff, we're simply asking one or two things of them. Well, three. Number one, they're going to be addicted either way it goes. Especially when you talk about things like opioids. You're right, Hannah. A lot of people become resistant very quickly to opioids. And so as a means of trying to accomplish that high, they turn to fentanyl or heroin. And fentanyl in particular, it doesn't take that much for you to overdose. And generally people who overdose, they don't overdose on the opioid pills. It's usually the things that they use to try to counteract that, to get a better high. Because your body does build this resistance to medication, because there is legitimately most medications. If you look at the history of opioids in the beginning, it was only intended for people who were terminal. They were dying of cancer, and they were aching. And I've seen people dying of cancer. I've known people who were dying of cancer. Once cancer gets past a certain point, you're stage 4, you're terminal, you're not going to live. Your doctors looked at you and say, you're not going to live very long. A lot of people who are at the end of life for cancer are usually in a great deal of pain. And so opioid was originally only intended for those people to basically have this easing process of them being able to transition into death. That was the original intent. It was never supposed to be this widely prescribed situation. But isn't it funny how America has always got us on drugs, right? And here's why I always build a bridge between Black people and white people, because I realize that racism, even though it exists, these systems of oppression, I understand and I have compassion for white people, for people in rural areas, because I understand our problems are the same. They just manifest themselves differently. For us, it was cocaine. For you, it's methamphetamine. And now for everybody, it's opioids. I understand, right? We didn't bring the crack into our neighborhoods. You can go back and look at Iran-Contra. You can see the CIA's hand all in that. All in that. The crack epidemic. You can hear people testifying, and sometimes, I try not to talk about stuff like this, because if people don't do their due diligence, they think it's all conspiracy theorists. But you can hear testimonies of professors who talk about in the 70s that they were testing crack cocaine at UCLA in the 70s, but it didn't hit our neighborhoods until the 80s. How are you testing crack cocaine in a laboratory in the 70s, and it didn't come into our neighborhoods until the 80s. That's interesting, but you wouldn't believe it unless you do your due diligence. The CIA and everybody got acquitted from that, thanks to Reagan. Everybody got acquitted, Reagan and Bush. But our military was heavily involved in that. You want to know why we're in Afghanistan? It ain't because we care about insurgents. It's because they have poppy fields. And that's how you can get the opioids here. Y'all wouldn't believe me if I told you. That's okay. So I understand that when I talk about issues, it's not just affecting my community. It's affecting all of us. And we all better figure this thing out. And we all better realize that we're all in this thing together. Our children are out here. Yes, they're struggling. There's so much pressure being a child. You got to go to college. You got to get a scholarship because college is so freaking expensive, right? You got to be in the top 10. You got to be the best athlete because you got to get your family out of poverty. And you're the meal ticket for your family. You got to do all this stuff. It's so much pressure on our kids. And a lot of it, if the school system ain't putting it on them, some of the parents are putting it on them, families are putting it on them. Amen. So what can we do? The first thing you could do is what I do every day. Have a conversation with your children. Sit them down. After you've gone through their backpack, looked under their bed, went through their drawers. I'm telling you, some of you, even if you don't think your child is doing something, you just better, it don't hurt to double check. Call your carrier, Sprint, AT&T, T-Mobile, Verizon. You can set up an account online and you could go and dig through all of their text message. For some of us, our children may not be involved in drugs. Some of them may be involved in sexual excursions. Yeah, we better be doing our due diligence. And then we need, if nothing else, we should just be, daily affirmations should be a thing for you and your children. If it's possible, even if they're asleep, go kiss them before you leave to go to work. If you leave early, hug them, put a Post-it note in their notebook. So when they open up their notebook, mama left them a note. I said, baby, I love you. Have a good day at school. I'm proud of you. Now you brought home that D. Let's see if we can work on a C. Small things like that. If you get stressed, take a deep breath. Think about me. I'm with you. Right? Small things. Talk to your kids. Encourage them to be themselves. And if nothing else, you tell them that Marie said that they are perfect the way that they are. And that if anybody's going to love them, they're going to love them for them. And they better not change to please anybody but themselves. Come on. Y'all know what it is. Marie Mott with the Marie Mott Show. I love you guys. Y'all know what I say every time. If no one has taken the time today to tell you that they love you, I love you. And guess what? It's absolutely nothing that you can do about it. Take care of your children because one day they're going to take care of you. They are the future. And they're not the future for tomorrow. They are the future right now. I'll see you guys back again next time.
3, 2, 1.
Chattanooga Radio. Digital FM 95.3 HD4. 92.7 FM's news now.
Traffic investigators say Stephen McGuire from Sale Creek was attempting to cross Georgia 146 when he was hit by a Hyundai Elantra and thrown